Welcome to Chats by Christ. I'm Shali.
I'm Sean.
Sean, we're almost at the end of our Catechism series. We only got 2 left. Commandments series. Not Catechism. No, not that ambitious.
Alright, guys, that's it. We covered the entire catechism.
We did it. We didn't. But yeah, no, we're almost at the end. But before that, how you been?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see, what did I do? Pretty much same old. Mainly been, just work, really. Been slacking in the gym, trying to get back into it.
But you went today.
Yeah, that's how I'm trying to get back into it.
Ah, yes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, other than that, too much.
Yeah. Didn't you go to dance lessons the other day?
So did you.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about you right now.
Yes. The dance lessons were interesting. I actually feel like I'd forgotten them. Hang on. So we learned the waltz for context. So it's like you slide
Yeah.
forward, then you slide to the right, then you slide back. It's like a
Cha-cha
box
real
shape.
smooth, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that was interesting and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, consecration is also ending this week. Something
Yeah, have we
comes up.
mentioned that on the podcast? The consecration of Saint Joseph?
I think so. But yeah, can't hurt to plug it again, I guess.
Well, yeah, we're doing the let me get the full title of it.
Mhm.
Doing Father Donald H. Calloway's Consecration of Saint Joseph, the 33-day programmy.
Mhm.
That's gonna end this Wednesday at the time of recording, which is the feast of what's the feast?
The Holy Worker? Saint Joseph the Worker.
Yes, Saint Joseph the Worker.
Mm.
The first.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be good.
Good. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Feast day of Saint Joseph leads into the month of Mary.
Yes,
Mary.
yeah, May's the month of Mary. And Hallow's doing another Marian consecration challenge.
Oh, nice.
Might do that. Yeah. As for me, I did the same stuff Dash did, except without going to the gym, because I don't go to the gym. I am.
You've been doing your at-home exercises.
Yeah, but they don't count.
Why not?
They don't count. They're not a legit workout. Maybe
As
in
long as you're
like
being consistent.
yeah. In 5 years' time, I'll get like 2 gym sessions worth. So
I see.
I mean, I've been running. Is that?
Yeah, the
Have
running's
we
been good.
mentioned? We have not mentioned the running.
No, we haven't.
So our good friend Joel, who did obeisance to his grandma that one time, he wants to sign us up for the 10K in a few months' time.
Mm-hmm.
And I, chronically unfit boy, need to get fit. So I'm
And
trying.
my cardio is so bad, but it's been good.
But Dash, you're healthy. You're drinking a protein shake as we speak.
My dietitian told me to.
Yeah, that's healthy. That's how you know it's healthy. You got a dietitian's approval.
I actually don't know if protein shakes are that healthy, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's a
Probably not.
supplement, but like, they're not great for you. Like, you should be consuming natural forms of protein where you can.
Yeah, you really should. So what you're saying is instead of protein shake, you go get a kebab after you work out.
Um, Let me speak to my dietitian and I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It requires expert advice.
All right. I see.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of expert advice, speaking of Saint Joseph, let's get cracking on our content for today, which is the second last commandment, commandment number 9.
Yep.
And that commandment is basically, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. So what does that mean, Desh?
How do I say this in like G-rated terms?
Desh, I thought you'd know. I don't know how to do it. You're the smart one.
Well, it's basically,
I think the Lord sort of says it pretty good if you keep reading the start of the Catechism section, just before 2514.
if you can't tell, it's been a busy week.
It's only been 2 days
Since what?
this week.
Yeah, it's been a busy week, man. Are you looking at specifically everyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart?
Yep, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty sure that's what this covers, right? Looking at a woman lustfully,
Yeah, that's right.
because it talks about purity of eyes and purity of heart going
Mm,
forward.
mm,
So, what does it mean to look at a woman lustfully? We'll start there.
mm-hmm. I guess, in one word, it's effectively objectification, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's a
you're
good way to look at it.
seeing the woman that you're looking at lustfully not as a person, but effectively as an object. That's like there for your viewing pleasure, if you will. Or,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
which yeah, it's wrong inherently.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like it's effectively stripping them of their dignity. Like it doesn't have to be for a woman. Like this commandment goes both ways, obviously, but in 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 word form, obviously it is directed towards women. But yeah, like effectively you're stripping them of their dignity by yeah by seeing them in a lustful sort of way.
Mm. Mm. Here's a tricky one for you. What happens if the woman in question deliberately presents herself in a way that sets you up to look at her in a lustful way?
Um, you see, that one's tricky. Like, it also depends on the scenario. Like, I guess if you're in a public setting, like it's easy enough to like divert your eyes or like, just divert your attention, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But if it's in more of like I don't know, like if it's in a one-on-one setting or if it's in a like a more confined setting. Hmm. Well, it's the same sort of concept, right? Like you can do your best to avert yourself wherever possible.
Right.
If it's common occurrence, you could very gently voice your concerns,
Well, you
maybe.
mean talk to the woman and be like, "Hey, you dressing immodestly," or something like that? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Well, yeah, like again, it depends on the situation, and don't just go up to someone and be like, "You're dressing immodestly. Stop.
Yeah, don't
Don't
go
do
up.
that.
Yeah, don't go to the beach and be like, "Shame, shame." Don't do that. Um,
Do not take a bell."
yeah, do not go to the beach with like a laundry hamper of blankets and just like cover every single half naked person you see. You
Yeah,
run out of
do
blankets
not
first of all,
do that.
but
Mm.
also yeah, that's poor form.
Yeah, it's a little bit more tricky when it's in a more confined setting, or if it's like someone that you're like regularly interacting with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like the best thing you can do, like like not the best thing, but like the most primary thing you can do is yeah, sort of trying to avert yourself, like yeah, by your own first, like by your own vision first, and then if it's yeah something that keeps on happening, I'm sure there are, I'm sure there is sensitively discuss the topic again, depending on your like closeness of this person and the kind of stuff as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
it all plays a factor.
Yep. Yeah.
Like in the gym, for example, you can't really be doing that. Whereas like
Yeah. Yeah.
say this happened like going to mass, I think that is more of a scenario where you could probably bring it up with it,
Mm. Yep.
like in like a very charitable way. Like for example, like on Sunday, like we when we go to mass, we're seeing the Lord. We should be bringing out our best for Him, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So, by by not dressing modestly. And again, that applies both ways. Me, like ever since like I stopped like high school, I had like this weird thing where I don't want to wear shorts to mass.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just I don't know, like it just feels weird to me to shorts, even in like 40-degree weather.
Mm.
I don't know. It's a bit different overseas, but here at least.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we wore shorts when we went to Portugal and
Yeah,
Europe.
but like I don't quite know why it was different.
Uh, Practicality, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
like
yeah, that's true.
we'd
Because
get to
we
mass
would,
after spending the whole day on our feet, like outdoors.
or the other way
So
around, like we would be going out on our feet straight
yeah,
after that.
like
Yeah,
so first and foremost, like we just didn't have an opportunity to change.
that's
Maybe
true.
that's a
Yeah,
lie. There were bathrooms nearby. Um,
yeah. But what are you gonna do? Carry a pair of pants and a pair of shorts with you everywhere you go?
allegedly. Some people would say that's what you have to do. I don't know if that's legit or not.
True.
My go to would have been just wear the pants the whole day and suffer, but
Mm,
don't know if that's the best idea considering it was 40-degree days in Europe.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
and then like the World Youth Day vigil
yeah,
slash
yeah,
final mass in the field, like
yeah,
there's a whole that's a whole
yeah,
other thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Exactly. But yeah, anyway, getting back to what we were discussing, yeah, like that's the sort of scenario that I meant when I said bring it up charitably, not in like a sort of more of like a public setting, because unfortunately, there's not too much you can do in a public setting. But if it's like
mm,
a scenario like mass, for example, like I feel like it makes a lot more sense to be able to bring that up charitably.
yeah, yeah,
Like there's a
and
lot more reasoning for it.
yeah. And you were saying like it's easier if it's someone you. Were you saying it was easier if it's someone you know? Like you're sort of
Um,
talking like it's someone who's close to you. You're talking about one-on-one type scenarios.
again, that wasn't necessarily like that's if specifically you're feeling uncomfortable. Like in a mass scenario, it doesn't necessarily have to be something.
Okay, yeah. Um,
But like if it's like a one-on-one or something, and like it's repetitively happening and like making you uncle or whatever,
mm,
then
mm,
yeah.
yeah, because I probably phrased that question wrong, but like what I was trying to get at is we do live in a society. Context.
Mm,
Yeah, as the meme goes, we live in a society,
mm,
and this society is saturated with
mm.
over sexualized imagery, and
Right.
it's
Sorry.
saturated with and it's
Okay.
saturated with people who just like do not give
Yeah.
a crap about modesty. And so it's not like
Yeah.
like so this commandment is about purity of heart and purity of eyes, right?
Hmm.
My purity is my responsibility, and it's not like something I foist onto every single woman I come across,
Sure.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah.
Not to say that like modesty isn't important, but it's my responsibility at the end of the day. So, what
Yeah.
can I do on my end to be pure, regardless of whatever other people want to do? Because I
Yeah.
can't
That
change that.
makes a lot of sense. Um. Yeah. Though that really changes the question.
Yeah, sorry.
um. I guess you control what you consume, right? In that case, so
Hmm.
you control what you watch. You control even where you go. To be honest,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, you control all of those things. So mm, it takes in this modern day world, it takes a bit of effort, to be honest.
Mm.
But yeah, like just controlling yourself and just trying to do things that have God at it, or like keeping like what's the phrasing that I'm looking for?
Yeah. Hang on. Let me like telekinesis read your mind so I can figure it out.
Um,
I don't know, man.
just try and keep yourself as Christ and in everything that you do. Which
Yeah.
isn't saying you only need to consume Catholic or Christian media either,
Mm.
but yeah, just like yes, there is a lot more content available now than there once used to be, which makes it more difficult, but it's also a lot easier to find out about that content. Like a quick Google search will pretty much tell you everything that you need.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we sort of touched on this in like one of our earlier episodes on media,
The one on
right?
media. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You want to pursue media that's good.
Mm.
Like an easy litmus test is whether it's true, good, and beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, and then especially with like the internet, you got to really be careful of like your algorithms and stuff.
Mm.
You gotta be vigilant. Like you either purge them entirely or you really take the time to like filter it out. You know, really hit those
Mm.
buttons and say like, I'm not interested. Report this ad.
Mm.
Don't show me this content. So on and so
Mhm.
forth. Because the sexualized content is easy. It grabs your attention, and like social media companies know that, and so they keep pushing it if you let them.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and as far as controlling what you consume, media wise, is concerned, I actually have to like do this now, right? Um,
Mm.
I was watching a show on Netflix and thought it started out as like a fun show, right? It was like
Mm.
it was like a fantasy uh adventure type show.
What was it? Can you name it?
Yeah, it's called Delicious in Dungeon, right? So the reason it's called that is because the adventurers go into the dungeon and they need to eat, so they hunt the monsters for food. And so this is like a cutesy video game type fantasy world. So you've got like walking mushrooms
Oh, okay.
and like like fish monsters and all this sort of stuff. It's like, oh yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
like
right.
10 months is not like
Not
yeah,
cute, but like that. It's like a video game.
edible. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
Um.
yeah.
So like the first like 10 or so episodes are fine,
Yeah.
but then like it has a tonal shift after that, and it's
Yeah.
been like really egregiously sexual, like pretty
Is it
bad.
an anime?
Yes, it comes with the
Okay.
territory, but it's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's been 3 times now, 3 episodes now. I'm like,
I've noticed that a lot with like all the animes that I've watched. Like this eventually they just have this tonal shift. They're like, why?
yeah. So I'm like, okay, look, that's like three strikes, right? Like, sure,
Yeah.
it's within the realm that I can handle it, but also like, I'm not going to compromise my values for entertainment. Of all the things to compromise my values for, this ain't it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I gotta like stop watching it and purge it, and
Yeah.
as you do when you're into a show, you start seeing like the memes of it on the internet. So I gotta purge all that out of my algorithms, and yeah, find something else to do with my time.
Mm. Yeah,
Tough.
that's actually a really good anecdote though. Like firsthand. But that's effectively what we have to do, right?
Hmm. Um. Speaking of anecdotes, not to point fingers, just so you know, but like, do you remember Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I watched the entire thing, so yeah.
So like I didn't,
That
because
was
I was always like I didn't have access to Netflix or whatever at that time.
yeah. That
But
was yeah.
like I will come clean and say I was actively looking at porn during that time.
Hmm.
And so it always felt weird hearing people talk about Game of Thrones, because it's like it's clearly porn. I know porn when I hear about it. I know porn when I see it, you know.
Honestly, yeah, like you can't really deny it. Like some parts of it are literally
Yeah.
porn. It's literally
it's
porn.
it's straight up just is pornography. And it's like, well, okay, like shouldn't
Yeah.
shouldn't like shouldn't we be doing better? Like, again, not to like point fingers, it was always
See,
odd to me.
Game of Thrones is tricky because a lot of the people that I knew would literally just skip those specific parts. Like I know that's what I did. Like I was just
Hmm.
like skip, skip, skip.
Yeah,
Because it
yeah,
it had luckily it had nothing to do with the story. I mean, even if it did, I wouldn't have watched it anyway. Then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it had nothing to do with the story, so you just skip it. But then again, in hindsight, it's still wrong to consume it. Like you shouldn't really be supporting that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
How
again,
about
it's not
books?
that like.
Do you ever
Sorry,
read
go
the
on.
books?
I did
I
not
don't
read the
know if
books.
books have the same level to it. I'm assuming they do.
I would assume so. They're
Hmm.
based on the books, after all.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and yeah, there's some cooked stuff in books. Don't worry.
Mhm.
It's any sort of media you can run
Yes.
into it.
Yeah.
And like yeah, like you got to do the same thing, right? Like sometimes you
Yeah.
just get blindsided by it, and you gotta You know, to like
Yeah.
step back and like put it down. Because it's either that or you grit your teeth through it, and it's like you either come out miserable. Like I've done that, you know, I've grit my teeth and tried to endure, or like skip past those sorts of scenes and I come out worse for it. You know, at that point I'm not enjoying the entertainment anymore. Well, yeah, I just stop it, and I'm like no worse off because there's so much of it out there. It's so replaceable. But like, why is it important to do that? Why is it important to have custody of our eyes, which is like the fancy phrase that people like to use for this sort of concept? Why is it important to be careful what we look at and be careful of what we consume media-wise, or be careful of when we look at a woman in the most extreme, depressing sense?
Because, well, first of all, like I said at the start, you are stripping like the person that is at the center of that attention of their dignity.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also stripping yourself of like your dignity in a way. Like, you know, we're called to be Christ-like, and if we want to get to heaven, and we need to like direct our lives in a way that will allow us to do that.
Yep.
And yeah, if we're not in control of ourself, our emotions, and ourself and our emotions, then it's very easy to get on the wrong path. I know I've been there.
Yep. I've been there too. There is one more reason
Mm,
that comes out of scripture and that the Catechism refers to.
mm,
So, Catechism paragraph 2518 says that the sixth beatitude proclaims, "Blessed are the
mm.
pure in heart, for they shall see God."
Yep.
That's for you and me. This makes a lot of sense, right? Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we've been walking the faith journey for enough time, or like we've gone deep enough to actually want God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of people don't, so I'll have to address that some way. But like this is the crux of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about stripping a person of their dignity when you look at them and you objectify them. A key part of that dignity is that they're made in the image of God, and so
Yeah.
to like reduce someone in that way, like you actively cannot see the reflection of God in your fellow human being anymore. And then to take it even further, like if you want to see God, like face to face, like see Him, then you have to have a pure heart.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm wondering if it's important to say, like, in saying all this, it's not saying that you can't find someone attractive or like you can't appreciate the beauty in a person.
yep.
That's absolutely not what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Rather, like, yeah, like if you want to appreciate like the beauty in someone, you absolutely can. One way I've heard, that's actually it's really wholesome, is that I've heard of is you can thank God for like his act of creation, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
in appreciating them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? You don't seem convinced.
Only because in my experience it didn't work for me. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Look, it.
I'm still a bit like behind in that sense, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
obviously, like, yeah, like look, women be pretty, all right. Like, we'll say that. Um,
Sure.
but like, it's not productive for me to like look at a woman, be attracted, like, you know, see the sexy bits, so to speak. I regret saying that. And like, you know, then like spend time like dwelling on it and writing a
It's
nice
not
prayer or
really you need
whatever.
to dwell on
Um,
it. Writing it as prayer.
yeah, it's like I gotta like write a prayer like, oh, thank you, Lord, for the woman. She looks so pretty. Like that. That's a waste of my effort, and it didn't. It hasn't led me anywhere good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I get that.
like not that I don't say a prayer when I see a woman, but the prayer that I do tend to fall back on is a lot more generic. It's more like, it's just like, hey, Lord, bless this woman, keep her safe, protect her, all that sort of thing.
That's nice too.
Like it's got,
I'd
like,
do that.
like this is entirely like me personally, right? Like this works for me. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it works for you or anyone else.
Mm.
But like, yeah, I still have to do the whole like bounce away thing, like
Yep.
look away. But what I don't want to do is like look away from the person at the same time. I
Yeah.
don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like I'll like look away and then I'll mutter the prayer when I'm like driving and I see a woman on the sidewalk just going for a walk or going for a jog in an activewear or whatever. So, you know, I'll look away and I'll say that little prayer of like, Lord, bless this woman, protect her, keep her safe, all that sort of thing. Like that helps because that grounds me in the fact that this is a person and not an object.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like thanking God for the beauty of the woman. Just I never could jive with that. Not that I
Yeah.
didn't try, but it wasn't helpful because it's an easy thing to miss.
It is.
It's an easy thing to screw up. Yeah.
I think like the idea behind that is literally like a glance, like say say a glance happens, then you immediately look away and you go, like thank you God for like the creation. But I think what you said is important as well. Like yeah.
Yeah. And what I want to work towards, which is extra tough, is especially if I'm like, you know, looking at them from like front on, like face to face, so to speak. Like, I want to be able to look them in the eye. That's hard.
Yeah.
Especially because, you know, like the first thing I detect is, you know, whatever, the bits of the body. Yeah. But yeah, that's all a part of the process of purification. You know.
Yeah.
Pray for me. I hope I get there.
I mean, like everyone struggles with this, not just you. And that's why we have the sacraments. That's why we have things like spiritual direction. That's why we need more priests.
Good priests.
Right. Good priests.
Yeah, the sacraments are huge for this.
Yeah.
Then prayer. Catechism mentions prayer in here somewhere as well. About being a good aid for purity. I can't remember where it is though. It's somewhere. I don't know. I can't find it. No, there is. Section 2, the battle for purity. So it's somewhere in paragraph 2520.
Oh, yeah.
It talks about the baptized must continue to struggle against the concupiscence of the flesh and disordered desires. Concupiscence is a fancy word that just means our unfortunate predisposition to sin. And that's a result of the original sin of Adam and Eve.
Dang it.
Dang it, one job. Literally one job, and they blew it. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Adam and Eve screwed it up for everyone, and we're all like not. We all have to fight ourselves.
Yes.
To be virtuous. You know, it's like it's St. Paul who says, you know, I don't do the thing I want to do, and I do the thing I don't want to do. It's like, how can we overcome this? It talks about 4 things. So the first is the virtue and gift of chastity. For chastity lets us love with upright and undivided heart. I think we did a lot of talk on. What did we do? A lot of talk on chastity in Commandment 6. Yeah, we spoke a bit about chastity. That bridling of the passion, right? That not like suppression and rejection, but that getting it under your control. Because yeah, undivided heart is probably the key word here. So the next point, purity of intention, which consists of seeking the true end of man with simplicity of vision. The baptized person seeks to find and fulfill God's will in everything. And so, you know, no matter what you do, no matter what you look at, no matter who you look at or how you look at him, you're trying to pursue God's will.
Mm-hmm.
And that means seeing people the way he sees them. Next is purity of vision, external and internal, by discipline of feelings and imagination, by refusing all complicity in impure thoughts that incline us to turn aside from the path of God's commandments. And I don't know what this scripture verse is for. So it quotes scripture and says, appearance arouses yearning in fools. And that's a quote from the Book of Wisdom. Maybe just a bit, a little bit. Small amount of wisdom in the Book of Wisdom. I had a train of thought and I lost it for the joke.
Sorry.
No, superiority of vision is like what we've been talking about this whole time with the media and stuff.
Yep.
Right? Like that complicitness with impure thoughts and inclinations away from the path of God.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is what all that media stuff is about, right? We don't want to be complicit in any of it.
Yep.
And then the last point, which is what I was working towards, was prayer. And it for prayer has a quote from St. Augustine. And he says that, I thought that continence arose from one's own powers, which I did not recognize in myself. I was foolish enough not to know that no one can be continent unless you grant it. For you would surely have granted it if my inner groaning had reached your ears, and I with firm faith had cast my cares on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big quote. With big words, but I hope I'm understanding this right when I say that you can ask God for help in this, and you should ask God for help in this.
Yeah.
And like because there's still that element of like we have to do it, right?
Yeah.
But like if we follow God, it's not like God's just gonna like make us do all of it on our own. He's gonna help us come towards him. But then if we go away from him, he's not gonna help us go away from him, so we'll probably start struggling.
Yeah.
And if anything, if you're lucky, he'll actually like resist you going away from him. Because how do I phrase this without being like weirdly abusive sounding?
He will resist you going away from him.
Yeah, like that already sounds like not ideal. That's not the right phrasing.
It's like the story. It's like the Good Shepherd, right? Like if you wander, he will look for you and he'll bring you back.
Yeah. That makes a lot. Yeah, that's a much nicer way of phrasing it. Cause yeah, like the lambs, like the sheep, like we don't, hate to be harsh, but we don't actually know what we're doing. We don't know that the holes we're jumping into are holes, and the Lord wants to pull us out of the holes, but we kind of have to let him.
Yeah.
So yeah, like God will help us with this. So ask him for help. And like Desh was saying, the sacraments are very important for this too, especially confession and communion.
Even if you're like going to confession and you're confessing the same sin over and over, like I do that too many times to count.
Yeah. Wait.
There's no shame in that.
No, that's actually good in an odd way. If you're,
like as long as you're
can be.
actively trying to avoid the sin.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you can't like be going into confession with the idea that okay, I'm going to get absolution, but then I'm going to go and commit the sin again. Or like if you
need to
get
genuinely
absolution from
repent.
that
Yeah.
sin, yeah, and then out of human weakness, you fall into that sin again. That's okay.
Here it is. Here's the quote. My good friend, my favorite Anglican C.S. Lewis, has a good quote about this. You must ask for God's help. Even when you have done so, it may seem to you for a long time that no help, or less help than you need, is being given. Never mind. After each failure, ask forgiveness, pick yourself up, and try again. Very often, what God first helps us towards is not the virtue itself, but just this power of always trying again.
Profound, man.
Yeah, don't. It's not me. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's profound.
It's profound. Yeah. That was reading that back in the day was a big help for me because,
Yeah.
if if you were like
Yeah.
me and you lived in purity and you lived,
Mm,
you're like neck deep in porn, getting out is hard, man.
mm.
Like it's slow going and it's rough going, and
Oh, it's like a landslide. It's like climbing up a landslide.
yeah,
Like,
I've never tried to climb a landslide before. That seems.
no, I'm not climb a landslide. That's the most stupidest phrase. It's like climbing a mountain is what I should have meant. And
Ah,
yeah, you'll hit landslides.
right. Okay.
You'll hit landslides. Sometimes they'll take you all the way back to the bottom. But if you keep at this, eventually over.
Yeah. The key is to keep climbing, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes the climb, it's like you're climbing the mountain and the mountain's like real foggy. You can't see where you're going. And it's like, I've been climbing this mountain for ages. And then
Yeah.
you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
Because eventually, like, you break through the cloud and you can actually see how far you've come.
Yeah.
But until then, it's perseverance.
Verso
So,
alto.
yes, it's getting beatified. Blessed Carlo.
Yeah.
No, Pier Giorgio.
Canonized.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Beatified is being
Canonized.
blessed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Canonized is being officially
And
capital S
ordained.
saint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Blessed
exciting.
Pier Giorgio Frassati. He's a good guy.
It's been a while since the last canonization. Probably the last.
I don't know. Wasn't
Maybe
there?
more than
There was one like not too long ago about
Yeah.
African martyrs. Yeah,
Oh, true.
yeah. I didn't look it up. I'm just confident.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But yeah, I realized that like reading ahead in the catechism, we touched
Mhm.
on modesty, but we didn't properly like discuss it. It's like we should probably talk about what modesty actually is,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
to go to a complete extreme, like it's not a burqa to throw another religion under the bus, right? We're not telling women and men, right? Modesty is for men too.
Ah, you telling me I got to throw all my burgers out
Ah, I, why do you have burqas?
for modesty?
I look. You got the
I haven't. I
spirit.
haven't. I haven't heard what you're going to say yet, so I haven't gotten rid of them yet.
Okay,
This
well,
may be. This may be what leads me to get rid of them.
okay. So look, it's not
I
like a
don't have
mandate.
burgers.
Like,
I do not have burgers. Just to clarify.
yeah, we don't own burqas. We please don't sue us. But yeah, like it's not like modesty isn't an injunction to like be frumpy and like wear potato sacks and you're not allowed to be attractive.
Yeah.
Like the best way one of the best ways I've heard modesty described is it's an act of charity
Mm-hmm.
where like so like if you're a woman, you'd be mindful of me and my struggle, which is awfully self-centered now that I'm saying this, but like I'm the best example that I can think of for people like me. But it's, I mean, Jason Everett's probably your best source for like what modesty is. Probably he explains it better than I will. But there is an element of it being an act of charity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like not that the body is a bad thing, but
Yeah.
like we are looking out for the souls of our fellow people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we cover what rightfully needs to be covered up. And
Looking for like a good definition.
yeah,
From a smart
it's
person.
important. I'm gonna like sidestep and tangent a bit because I just want to clarify
Yeah.
that it's important that culture plays a role in what modesty actually is, right?
Yeah.
So like modesty in the West is different to modesty in like a tribe, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is why I like went to the extreme of like, yeah, it's not about like being fully covered up and obscured, because that's not like modesty is not like hiding the body because the body is a bad and it's a snare and it's a cause for sin.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Modesty is think of it this way, right? Like typically
Mm.
typically in the church, like I've heard this analogy is like typically in the church we veil the things that are sacred.
Mm.
Um, and our bodies carry that sort of sacredness,
Mm.
and so they need to be veiled.
Mm.
That's one aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um, Another one is in the same way that like you veil your body because it's sacred. There's also an element of, we mentioned it's like a way of objectifying people.
Yeah.
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 Um, and I started with the question of like, what if you objectify yourself? Um,
Mm.
and so there's this angle of modesty is important because it is for you to promote your own dignity. Because like this is probably more so for women than for men. Perhaps, I don't know.
Mm.
I don't have the physique. I don't have the physique to do this.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
just about to say, like, it really depends on
Yeah,
physique
like
for men.
me, like scarecrow, beanpole, dry spaghetti boy. Like I don't have the physique to do this, but um, like it's entirely possible to like be shirtless and get a lot of attention and get a lot of affirmation for it.
Yeah.
Um, and that can feel good,
Mhm.
but and again, like I can't speak with this in any authority because I don't do it. I'm not capable of doing it. But there's a hollowness to it. There's a sense of selling yourself out almost. Um, Closest experience
Mm.
I can think of in my limited experience would be like I was the smart kid in school, right?
Mm.
So people would try to butter me up because I'm the smart kid and I give them the answers.
Mm.
And that was always like icky
Mm.
because like I could give them what they wanted, but I sort of knew that they were using me.
Mm.
Um, then it's kind of like that, but with your body, right? It's
Yeah.
to be like again, I'm not good at phrasing this any gently, but it's like an elaborate form of attention or affection based prostitution almost.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're legitimately like selling your
Yeah.
body and yourself.
Yeah.
Uh,
The catechism phrases it quite nicely.
Probably should
Um,
refer to that name.
yeah. So, in 25:21, it talks about how purity requires modesty.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going back to purity of the heart
Yep.
and an integral part of temperance. Modesty protects the intimate center of a person. It means refusing to unveil what should remain hidden. So what you said before was spot on. It is ordered to chastity, to whose sensitivity it bears witness. It guides how one looks at others and behaves toward them in conformity with the dignity of persons and their solidarity. And then 25:22 is where it really sort of strikes home.
Mm-hmm.
So, modesty protects the mystery of persons and their love. It encourages patience and moderation in loving relationships. It requires that the conditions for the definitive giving and commitment of man and woman to one another be fulfilled. Modesty is decency. It inspires one's choice of clothing. It keeps silence or reserve when there is evident risk of unhealthy curiosity. It is discreet. So there's a bit to unpack in 25:22.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but effectively it's talking about like when we're talking about modesty, it's effectively talking about like the sacrament of marriage in context of that paragraph, right? Like it's saying modesty protects the mystery of persons and their love, and like that mystery should ideally be there until you're within the sacrament of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
um Again, why it talks about like unhealthy curiosity, like um it sort of goes back to what you were saying before about attention, like sort of when we don't maintain modesty and decency, like there's like that need for sort of like there's like that drive for attention, which is then fueled, which is basically fueled by unhealthy curiosity of other people. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Uh,
So it's a
kinda.
two-way street, right? Like if you aren't like being modest, um, that's probably for a reason. It's probably to seek the attention of others.
Mm.
And then on the other side of the so and so street, like there is the risk of unhealthy curiosity of the other person.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the unhealthy curiosity gets expanded on in 2523.
Yep.
Because that one says that there is modesty of the feelings as well as of the body.
Mm,
It protests, for example, against the voyeuristic explorations of the human body in certain
mhm,
advertisements,
mhm,
or against the solicitations of certain media that go too far in the exhibition of intimate things.
mhm,
Modesty inspires a way of life which makes it possible to resist the allurements of fashion and the pleasures of prevailing ideologies.
mhm,
There's lots to unpack there too, actually. But um, I think just spitballing here, I think it ties into that idea of veiling again, right?
mhm,
Um, you mentioned that modesty, uh, it was it like you said that modesty like helps enable uh the definitive giving and commitment of man and woman, right?
yep.
Yeah. So that definitive giving is marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so like to expose yourself and once again crude but also legit, highly
Mm,
accurate language in a sense.
mm,
Like that level of exposure is something that ought to be uh, safeguarded within the
yep.
framework of marriage, right? Because again, like back in Commandment 6, we were talking about how, those vows and those rules about marriage are safeguards
Mhm,
for uh, both spouses and the children involved.
yep.
Um, and so, like obviously, like we can be curious about the things that are hidden behind the veils,
Mhm,
but like curiosity killed the cat, so to speak. Yeah.
mm,
Um, Things that are veiled ought to be unveiled in the right times and places and contexts. Yeah.
mm, mm,
To do so otherwise, to force an unveiling when it's not meant to be unveiled in a way that isn't meant to be unveiled. Uh, if we're talking about something sacred, like we're entering like a profaning of that sacred thing.
mhm, mhm.
Um, and so modesty is another safeguard, is the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because like your body and like the body and the person bear the image of God, right?
Yep.
Um, which is why it's so important to have that purity, right? So we can see that image of God in our fellow people. Um, but then the image of God is a sacred thing, isn't it? Right?
Mhm, mhm.
Like we're supposed to treat statues and icons with respect. Um, then like what? Like if the human person is in the image of God, then the human person is an icon in and of themselves.
Yep. Yep.
And so like it needs to be safeguarded. That makes sense. Cool.
Yeah. I think in terms of the catechism, we're just about there. I think got a couple more.
Mm.
25, 25 to 27.
Yep.
But that's about it. So 25, 25 sort of goes back to purity. So Christian purity requires a purification of social climate, requires the communications media that their presentation show concern for respect and restraint, purity of heart, brings freedom from widespread eroticism and avoids entertainment inclined to voyeurism. So a little bit there about what we were speaking about before.
Mm.
Yeah, so it is our duty as consumers to, where we can, avoid these instances. So specifically, noted here from widespread eroticism and avoid entertainment inclined to voyeurism and illusion.
Yep.
But there's also the responsibility of those that create media to
Mm.
uphold those things as well.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so if you're someone that creates that media, like creates media in general, yeah, just keep those values in mind. Um, yeah, just for the respect and sanctity of basically everyone that consumes your content. It's good for you, it's good for them.
Mm.
And 25, 26, so-called moral, so it speaks of so-called moral pervasiveness, which rests on an erroneous conception of human freedom. The necessary precondition for the development of true freedom is to let oneself be educated in the moral law. Those in charge of education can reasonably be expected to give young people instruction respectful of the truth, the qualities of the heart, and the moral and spiritual dignity of man. So yeah, that's speaking directly to teachers and not just teachers, but like parents, effectively anyone in charge
Yeah,
of
us youth leaders.
anyone. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
us youth leaders. Yeah,
just a quick
basically
one,
anyone
Dash.
in charge. Yeah.
Yeah. How do so it says that the precondition for true freedom is to be educated in the moral law, right?
Yep.
That doesn't make no sense in this modern day, right? Like how does knowing the rules and sticking to the rules make us free?
Hmm. Oh, you're getting all philosophical on me now.
Well, I mean, it's always the fundamentals that get you, Dash.
How does the moral law make you free? Well, it's an escape from the traps of the world, right?
Allegedly. Well, we are short on time, but
Mm,
we'll start with like an even more fundamental question. What is
mm.
freedom? Nah.
Yeah, these fundamentals really tripping me up, man.
This is the
Um,
thing, right? The fundamentals are all out of whack. And so,
freedom is, yeah, in our modern day, it's very difficult to answer this question. Well, it shouldn't be, but
yeah.
like freedom should be the ability to be able to express yourself, um, and your values. I feel like that
Hmm.
in modern day, that's been a bit stretched out.
Yeah, the
Not
thing
not
is
yet
in this
really.
modern day, yourself and your values can mean anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that anything is independent of moral law. So we're
Yeah.
still at our original quandary of like, how does the rules make me free? Um,
Well, the
so
rules are.
here's a question for you.
Mm,
Um, Earlier we talked about being pure of heart, right?
yeah.
And how being pure of heart requires a lot of hard work. It requires a lot of discipline. Actually, let's make it even more like less controversial. Yeah,
Mm,
you're going to the gym.
mm,
I'm not going to the gym, which means that you're just as a matter of fact, like you're stronger than me. Yeah,
allegedly.
you can bench press me. Like we've been through this. So like yeah, so you are stronger than me. You are fitter than me, right? That means
Mm,
that when it comes to like performing physical tasks,
mm,
you're able to do more than I am.
okay.
So you've gone to the gym and you've been going to I know you said you've been slacking, but you've got your like discipline going. Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm.
I don't have the discipline set up, but you're better equipped to do things now than I am.
Right.
So which one of us is more free? You're bound by discipline, but I'm not. Like I don't have strength, to be blunt, right? Like I don't have. Like I'm not equipped to do things that I might want to do because I haven't been bound by discipline in this factor in this area of life.
Okay. I think you're really overestimating how much I go to the gym. But
I'm using you as an example, okay?
yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. I get where you're going though.
Yeah.
Like in
So
all seriousness.
like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
not you,
Like
then like Dwayne Johnson. All right, he's
yeah.
ripped.
Let's go with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. So
Although
Dwayne Johnson is ripped. He's like strict with his diet.
he might be
He has
juicing.
to like maybe. Who's strong but like not juicing?
Um
Yeah, the famous guy's all juice because juicing is
mm,
for aesthetics.
yeah.
Let's
Like the
say,
really big guy is pretty much all probably, to be honest.
yeah. All right. Let me draw from like another example of like my YouTube video
Mm,
habits. So
mm,
I've been watching a lot of sword fighting content, right?
mhm. Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
That's very nice. Yeah.
yeah. So sword fighting content or historical European martial arts is like the technical name.
Mhm,
Looks real cool, right?
mhm,
But to actually like do it it's a martial art, right? You got to like go to the dojo, quote unquote. But it's
mhm.
Western, so I don't know what they call it, gym. And you got to like
Yep,
practice. You do drills with your swords. You read textbooks,
yep.
and like you practice and practice, and it's discipline and it's rules and it's not freedom, is it? But like they can do the cool thing of sword fighting, and I can't. So
Mhm,
even if we were to take this modernist idea of freedom is doing what you want,
mhm.
isn't there still this element of sometimes to do what you want, you need discipline? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so that helps, right? Um, what would I be wrong to say that like the moral law is a form of discipline to train us in virtue?
No.
Okay. Would I also be wrong to say that it is a good thing to pursue virtue, if not uh, possibly even the thing that we all say we want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So we all want to be good people,
Mhm,
and sometimes to do what we want, we need discipline.
mhm.
And the good Lord has very kindly provided us with a framework of disciplines, or at least guidelines, to build our discipline around. Yeah?
Yep,
To be good people.
yep.
But that's rules, and rules aren't freedom. But like you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's a I don't know his name, but he's like Jocko Willink or something like that. He's like an ex-army guy. And he's got one
Mhm.
of those like catchy slogans where he straight up says discipline equals freedom.
Okay.
Um, so all this tangenting aside, right? Like
Yeah.
it's easy to say that like the rules stifle our freedom.
Mhm,
Um, but that's not necessarily true because there are
mhm,
certain things that you can't do without limitation on yourself.
mm, mm.
Like getting strong. You gotta like bridle yourself. You gotta
Yeah.
yeah. The cool thing about the life of virtue is that you get help from God. So like it's not all a slog.
Mm.
And that's what 2527 talks about
Yep.
because it says that the good news of Christ continually renews the life and culture of fallen man. It combats and removes the error and evil which flow from the ever present attraction of sin. It never ceases to purify and elevate the morality of peoples. It takes the spiritual qualities and endowments of every age and nation, and with supernatural riches it causes them to blossom, as it were, from within. It fortifies, completes, and restores them in Christ.
Mhm. Yep.
There's a lot to unpack in there too, but time. But
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. Any last thoughts before paying intentions? Because I'm sort of like I have thoughts, but they're not words.
I see. Uh, um, the only thing that comes to mind is just keep at it, whatever you're struggling with, even if you have to take baby steps,
Hmm.
just keep at it. Because yeah, like Charlie's been saying, for the last little bit, discipline is key. And if you're disciplined at fighting whatever it is that you're fighting, you'll get there.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it is in this world. The struggle for purity and
Hmm.
yeah, the pursuit of these values. That's what it is.
Yep. This might be more of like a very male, masculine sort of way
Mm,
of looking at this thing.
mm,
Discipline and all that. But like you and I have probably both seen all the internet content about discipline, both from Catholic and secular sources. Yeah.
Mm.
I think men like want discipline. I certainly want to be disciplined. But like Desh was saying, like just keep at it, right? And you know, if you're looking for a hashtag Sigma grind set, like this is it. You know,
This is yes.
this is
This is
it.
the
This
Sigma
is
grind
the
that you should be
this is the
seeking.
Sigma grind set.
Yeah, not the gym. I mean, not
No,
as in that the other.
no,
Like, as in, like, this is the one you have to strive for.
yeah, and it's not like
Whereas,
purity. No, no. The grind set that I'm talking about is the pursuit of God.
yeah, like everything else
Purity,
is optional, but
yeah,
pursuit of God is something you have to do.
yeah. Everything can flow into your pursuit of God, right?
Yep.
It doesn't have to, but if you order
Yeah.
everything to the pursuit of God, then
Yeah.
you will have riches in the next life, at the absolute very least. The next life is eternal, so those riches are eternal too. But yeah, speaking of God, speaking of eternity, we'll finish up with prayer intentions as always.
I'll do my usual things. So with the theme of today, we pray that everyone is able to seek purity, and let us in, like they are fervent in their pursuit of Christ and all that they do, and everything that they allow themselves to consume. Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, Desh pretty much said it all, so I pray for the same, and I pray again for an end to all the conflicts happening throughout the world. Yeah. And on that note, we'll leave it here. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and we hope to catch you in the next one. God bless.
Thanks for listening, guys. God bless. See ya.